So in this video, I'm going to talk about the 3 milestones of the spiritual path, or the path that leads up the scale of consciousness, because I believe it's difficult for many people to orient themselves about not only where they are on the scale, that's not really that important anyway, but more importantly, where they are not. Because it's so easy to delude yourself into believing you're higher than you are. Many people in the 300s, for example, believe they are in the 500s, or some of them even believe they're enlightened and in non-duality. And if you have no milestones and nothing to orient yourself towards or understand in that sense, like a sure thing, like an ironclad definition of what is what, then you can easily get deluded and lost in your mind, and the mind will try to hold you back. The collective shadow will try to hold you back and stagnate you, and and these things. So the whole journey is difficult because there is very few milestones. So I'm going to talk about the 3 milestones I have identified in this in my journey, which took me all the way down to 50, and now I'm currently in the lower 600s. So I've walked through the whole scale basically. I also peeked into non-duality and Satori, so I have a pretty good idea about the journey, and I only identify the 3 sure milestones that you can orient yourself with. And I'm going to talk about the first one at the lowest level milestone and work myself up the scale to all the way to non-duality, which is this third milestone. So the first milestone is basically when you go from below to above 200. And this breach of into that level is usually comes together with a voice attack, because the collective shadow wants to keep people as low as possible, so they generate as much negativity as possible, because that's what it's its food source. So it wants to keep people below 200 in the victim abuse mentality levels, and it's willing to risk exposure trying to hold people back from breaching that level. And that's what the voice attack is about. So you get this kind of a voice attack in your mind, with all these voices trying to hold you back from whatever you're doing that is, taking you into the 200s. That might be breaking free from some abusive relationship or whatever it is you need to do. And it's really important, obviously, to just don't listen to the voices and basically just power through the whole attack, and it will settle down. It might feel like you're going insane as you're doing this, but that's actually a good sign. And you can't let the voices stop you and the collective shadow hold you back, because then you will not be able to breach into and escape the victim abuse levels, the lowest levels. So that's an important milestone to be aware of, and to understand that that's actually a good sign. If you think you're going crazy and have these voice attacks, then you're on the right track. Unfortunately, there are no more milestones until you reach the mid 500s, around basically above 540. Then that's the next milestone. So it's a long journey, or many levels between, that you have nothing to orient yourself with. But it's more important to understand where you're not than to understand where you are, actually, because many people delude themselves, as I said. So if you're in 540 and above, the milestone there is that you can sit down and close your eyes and be completely present and effortlessly present in the moment, and not lose yourself in any daydreams. You barely have any daydreams at all at that level, and if you have a daydream, it's actually coming in front of you. You can observe the daydream like it's sliding by in front of you, instead of getting lost in it like you would in the lower levels. So that's the big milestone and the big test of if you're in the 540s and higher than that level, you will be able to sit down and not lose yourself in any daydream, and it will not require any effort either. I mean, you don't have to put a lot of effort into staying present. It's effortless. But in the lower levels, you have to put in a lot of effort to stay present when you meditate. And even if you do that, you will most likely get lost in a daydream pretty soon. So that's the big milestone. It's effortlessly being present in the moment, with no daydreams taking you away from the moment. And the third milestone and the final milestone is when you breach into non-duality, or jump into non-duality and beyond. And that's very simple, because then your identity shifts from your direct experience of yourself, changes from being a person in reality to becoming reality itself. And in that state, it becomes obvious that everybody is part of the same animation, so to speak, the same consciousness animating everything. And your sense of identity is reality itself instead of a person in reality. So you can't really, it's not anything mental. It's just a direct experience of who you are or what you are. So that's when you have arrived into non-duality. And I can't talk about the higher levels of enlightenment because there are probably even deeper levels you can. I mean, obviously there are, but and I don't have experience with those things. I only have direct experience with non-duality in longer lasting satoris. So I can't really talk about full enlightenment and how that is experienced. But it starts with that shift from being a person in reality to becoming reality itself as your identity. And that's basically the main shift. Obviously many other things happen too. You get more psychic and more many things. You see a different reality. The world becomes much more beautiful and all these things, but that's not really that important in this context. I just want to clarify that, hey, that's what is meant by enlightenment. It's not you can't really, you can't misunderstand that. You can't if you look directly how you feel or how you sense yourself to be, you're a person in reality right now, most likely, and that will change when you reach non-duality. As you can't really mistake that. There's no way to misunderstand that if you actually are honest about it. So that's basically the three milestones and the clearest definition of enlightenment I can give.